Australia. Oh, he's hit this one, Miles. Great shot. Oh, it's a biggie. Straight over the top. Kohli drives through the covers. It's into the fence like a tracer bullet.
Hello all. Welcome all to yet another episode of Just Another Cricket Podcast. So with all things going well on today's match, Afghanistan is the first team to qualify into the Super Force. Straight to Dibankur and Santan on the today's match with Afghanistan beating Sri Lanka and Bangladesh now. Your views?
So we had thought Afghanistan to be the second best team from Group B to be coming after Sri Lanka when we were discussing about the team stacking up. So I wouldn't say it's a surprise with Afghanistan playing a brilliant game against Sri Lanka up front. It was almost fixed for them to go into the top four because of the net run rate they already had gotten. So not a surprise at all. Brilliant game overthrough, but it was closely fought. I would say Bangladesh did a very bold, prediction up front, winning the toss and batting, which was very interesting. But then again, the match really well played both sides, and Afghanistan, played well throughout. A little faltered in the first innings during the bowling when Nabi took some strange decisions not bowling Rashid through. But then again, they played well, won it by 7 wickets in the end. So and first team to qualify for the top four.
Chandan, interesting bit on the toss with Shakib winning it out and then choosing to bat first.
I think they took the right decision of batting first, but I think they got the team composition wrong. And probably it's easy for us to say now that we are watching from home and the match is over. So it was definitely a slow wicket. It was definitely a low wicket, which means it will get difficult to chase down totals. But that's where you get more spinners and less fast bowlers. So if you look at the Bangladesh composition, they had actually, if you take Mossadegh out, they basically had Shakib and Mehdi Hasan, whereas there were a string of spinners in the Afghanistan side. And eventually that's what proved to be, vital for Bangladesh, because their pacers in the later half of Afghanistan innings got tonked away, right? So I think they got the right decision, but somehow their team composition was not backing it up.
Dibankur, on the Bangladeshi start, Afghanistan bowler, what's your take on the off spinner? How was his performance? Mujib, exactly. Yeah. Mujib's performance.
Yeah, we knew Mujibur Rahman is going to open up. I mean, he does it for all the franchisee cricket leagues all through across the world, and I think somehow, I mean, he's a flicker bowler. I mean, he's somebody who uses the carom ball more. I don't know why. Is it not? Is it very difficult for him to pick from the fingers or from the pitch? These batsmen are so very matured enough to understand it. Shakib playing that shot was like, I think he's a very experienced player. He's almost 38, 39 right now, have around 20 years of cricket experience, and missing that incoming delivery, playing across the bat and getting bowled during that situation, it did not augur well for the Bangladeshi team. I mean, there was lack of application. Of course, if you lose a couple of wickets up front, there needs to be application. For everything, T20 or even one day, the base is Test match cricket. You need to build your innings up. You can go all tongs, hammer and tongs from ball one, but if you see that your side is in trouble, buckle down. Take it ball by ball, then you have ample opportunity to score up front. So Bangladeshi batting was dismal today, and you have Shakib to be blaming for that. I mean, he was the guy who actually, I would say, responsible for this top order meltdown.
Chandan, Rashid Khan's spell was once again crucial. I was just going through one of the stats, and today also, if you look at it, out of the 7 wickets that Afghanistan took, 6 were between the two best bowlers, Mujib and Rashid Khan. And Rashid Khan did what he's specialized to do it. I mean, he's been doing it so brilliantly in the middle overs.
Yeah, I think, and then I'll pick a point from Devankur's, explanation that is it too difficult to play Mujib? No, it's not difficult. It's the format that pushes you to hit attacking shots. On the other hand, you will see the wickets that Rashid Khan got, or he typically gets, is where people either tries to play a defensive shot or tries to nudge it here and there, and he gets a lot of LBWs. You see the wickets against Mujib is where people play attacking shots. Why? Because when you every team come with a thought against Afghanistan that we will play the 4 overs of Rashid Khan out, will not give him a wicket, which means you have to score off other bowlers, and that's where the others pick a lot of wickets. So that's the justification. You get these bowlers in one day or in test matches, they'll not get wickets, which means they're not that dangerous as a bowler. But it's the format of cricket, and especially in these slow, low tracks, they get even more dangerous. Absolutely agree with what Devankur said. Wrong selection of shots, and by the time Rashid came, I think they already lost. I think what 2-3 wickets were already lost. Almost the power play was coming to an end. So he's a brilliant bowler. It was made even easier for him. In fact, for a moment after the first over, Nabi took him off and got that fast bowler, and that's where they started getting some runs. I don't know why it was, but Rashid, as always, is brilliant, and they were showing all the records of T20 bowlers. You will only see Rashid Khan and Mujib in number one and number two in most of those record lists.
One of the stats, Shantan and Debanku, that as Shantan rightly mentioned, Rashid Khan's wicket percentage, 27 to 30 wickets that he takes, percentage of wickets that he takes is all LBWs. This is one of the craziest records that he has.
And 50% of his wickets are always through googlies since 2020. So that was the other stat they showed.
Correct. Debanku, any thoughts on? I thought Bangladesh, Afghanistan fielding. They're brilliant in the field throughout the match. Your opinion
Yes, I mean,
on this?
Yeah, completely back their bowling. I mean, bowlers were bowling to their strengths, barring a couple of balls, which is understandable. There were a few short pitch deliveries by the pacers. That is understandable, of course. I mean, it happens in the heat of the moment. But fielding, I mean, I could see some nudges or people who were trying to score through the fine leg or the third man area, and that the 45 angle was really well cut off. Sharjah being a small ground, their field placement, of course. I mean, nobody sends a deep fine leg or a deep third man these days, also against a spinner. Their angles were very well maintained, so they were easily cutting those boundaries down. I could see it at one place wherein it was the last couple of deliveries for Rashid Khan. He was bowling it down the leg to Mossadegh. One of the balls he had flicked and it went for a couple of runs off a missed field. I was so angry, but his ball was such a bad ball that it deserved to be hit for a boundary. So somewhere around the line, and the next ball he bowled was similar. It was more down the leg side, and Mossadegh hit for a boundary, and this time Rashid kept to himself. So bowling wise, fielding wise, of course, it was really well backed out. But just to build on one point on the bowling, you had a brilliant 3-4-16 from Mujib. I mean, if you see the scorecard, you would think that he was completely unplayable. I actually saw maybe 17 of his 24 balls, and they were all lengthwise short pitch deliveries. It was only the pace that he was bowling with. It was the mindset of the batsmen so that they went so defensive or they could not score off him that he actually started getting wickets. So that was the reason why I asked whether it is difficult for a batsman to read him. If not, stay back and play. I mean, you take a Rashid Khan with his whippy action when all of his balls come from back of his hand, you do not understand which one is a leg spin and which one is a googly, but he bowls them both. Yeah, so it is difficult to pick up Rashid, but not too difficult to pick up Mujibur Rahman, who has the best bowling figures for today. But fielding wise, to your question, brilliant. I mean, they were really on song on the field today.
Shantan, at the halfway stage, 127, 128 target, you would have been, from a Bangladeshi captain, from Shakil's perspective, would have been happy with the total?
Considering the start that they got, yes, because I know I was speaking to one of my
We lost him,
and they lost. They lost it because of poor bowling at the end. What they did, right? First of all, they missed a spinner. Second of all, they were bowling a lot of the slowers and the cutters were wide outside the off stump, which means it's virtually a free hit anywhere that you hit, and during that sort of a time. So you see, I think they needed at one stage around 65-70 runs out of 6 overs, which is a lot of runs. If you look at the first 34 overs, right? Correct. So 130 from where they were was pretty decent total. They could have probably scored another 20 runs had they had at least one of Shakib or Mushfiqur or even Mahmudullah, getting out on a crucial side. They would have fancied their chances for sure, winning that match, when they scored 130.
In fact, my next question to Debankur on the innings that Najibullah played. I just saw the innings and he was just hitting sixes at will. Bangladeshi innings didn't have so much of sixes. He was hitting them sixes all over the park.
Yeah, I mean that's what you call the Afghan attitude, right? I mean these guys know only one way to play. If you cannot block, go hit it out. Although I mean it was not an iffy inning, so to say. He actually changed the complexion of the game totally with all those. I think he hit 4 sixes, right? Or
Six six.
Six.
6 sixes. Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
he I mean, it took it to the next level. I mean, the time when he came in, it was almost a 10 required run rate or 11 required run rate with 6 overs in hand. So it was a really tricky at that point in time. He, along with Ibrahim Zadran also played really well, although it was like a 100 strike rate kind of an innings. But he paced his innings well. I mean, in between those shots, he was playing those, on the up kind of boundaries, which helped. No, I would not say helped Najibullah because Najibullah had come down with only one mindset to go and hit because he knew that there is Karim Janath coming up next to him, and then they had those two hitters in Rashid and Mujibur Rahman. So they were pretty much sure that it's a very small total, so go out hit, and the risks that he took, whatever calculated risks that he took, it got paid off. I mean, and he hit all very clean sixes. I mean, nothing of which went off half of the bat. You would have seen one of those tennis ball slower bounces that he tried and kind of hooked behind the fine leg for a six. Those were really well calculated shots, and he did play really well.
And it's not easy to hit such big sixes in a slow track like this. Okay.
Yeah.
He was actually
His timing was good.
he was 3 runs of the first 6 balls. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking that he's not getting his timing right. And then he scored 40 of the next 11 balls, out of which they had six sixes, right? So he just changed the complexion of the game completely from nowhere.
And the bowlers also were put under a lot of pressure. Mustafizur, you would not expect him to buckle down under pressure. I understand Safiuddin, he can get hit for sixes. I mean, he got hit for 22 in the last over. But Mustafizur is somebody you would not expect him to actually, coming around the wicket. His main weapon is to come over the wicket to left-handers and bowl those, off cutters or fast-paced Yorkers. But the way he actually started thrashing him, he had to change his angle so much so that he actually opened his face and hit him over the mid-off, if I'm not wrong. So, because he was giving those hittable length balls. So, he did play a very good mind game along with his batting. And I think the man of the match today had to be Najibullah Zadran for that tremendous innings that he played.
Because of the slowness of the track. I mean, the track was not actually conducive for batting, and the way he probably scored those.
No, I think Mujib got the man of the match, but he's the guy who actually ensured that the total is
score is not
right. I mean, because I mean I understand because I would have honestly he broke the initial innings completely. I think first 3 wickets out of the 4, so he got the man of the match. But I think, wow, I mean, Afghanistan is looking dangerous, isn't it, guys?
Shantan, my next question to you.
I'll just mention one thing before I forget, guys. Both of you, if I'm not wrong, kept Afghanistan in number 5 out of the 6 teams when we were ranking this before.
I was 4.
It was 4 for you.
4.
I think we have the recording. If I play the recording, it cannot be
4. India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, and then
I had kept Sri Lanka number 2.
Okay, yeah, maybe 4 because Bangladesh and
Hong
Kong was 5 and 6 for all. Okay.
So Shantan,
I mean, they're already in the last 4, huh?
Yeah, my next question to you is if you look at the first match and the second match with Afghanistan's, and the first match, fast bowler doing the damage, this match, spinner doing the damage, chasing totals in both the matches comfortably. But the first match on 8 wickets, this is on 7 wickets. Looks a complete side. And they are into Super Force. So what can you expect from Afghanistan in Super Force when they meet India, Pakistan?
I mean, it's difficult to say which team beats which team in a T20. Everything is possible, right? I mean, who knows? Hong Kong can beat either of Pakistan or India, on a given day, right? But they'll be an extremely confident side moving into, the last 4, because they know that if they can it's in, let's say India and Pakistan are a side that surely goes in, and it's either of Bangladesh and Sri Lanka which goes in. They have defeated one of those teams in the Super, when they come to the Super Cup. So if they can ring one, miracle by defeating either an India or a Pakistan or whichever side that goes in, they're into the finals, guys, right? And with the kind of cricket that they're playing, it's not going to be surprising. The only thing is that they've not been tested against a good, solid team on the other side, right? So too many early strokes, people playing false strokes, trying to hit the ball, throwing away wicket. Not a lot of wicket-taking deliveries per se. Even today, I would say though. And I really want to see how they bat if they're chasing 150 plus with good quality bowling on the other side as well. But I think Afghanistan is one team that all of us love, across the world, across the Indian subcontinent as well. So I think a lot of us are extremely happy that they have had such giant strides into the international cricket. Fielding has been top notch, right? These are areas where these small teams lose matches. They do either great batting or great bowling, but they'll drop catches, they'll leak out boundaries. They've really put a stop on those areas, and they look really like a top brilliant side like the Australians or South Africans today. So I think extremely happy for what I see of Afghanistan, and it would be great to see them in the finals.
Another point that I would another point that I would like to bring here is Afghanistanis, apart from their international outings and everything, 70% of the team that represents them internationally are actually out playing in all those major international T20 leagues. So they are rubbing shoulders against all the top international players. They're getting to scratch their brains along with them. Then there are team huddles, team meetings when they understand what match simulations they are through. And most of them are also playing IPL, which is, I think, has to be touted as the most, important.
Not most of them.
toughest.
Come on, not most of them. It's three of them mainly in most of the leagues, and even then, Nabi sits out for most of the matches.
No, that's okay.
Nabi and Mujib sits out on most of the matches.
Sitting out is different, and being in a nets, getting to interact with all the coaches, foreign coaches.
Yeah, in fact, I was actually thinking the other way around, that it's only three of them who features in most of the leagues, right?
Not exactly. Because Fazal Faruqi plays for PSL, he plays for CPL, he plays for BBL, if I'm not wrong.
For BBL.
So I think Fazal Faruqi was selected. Yes, one of those Afghani left-arm pacers were selected for one of those. If not Fazal, somebody else. There was this somebody called Zakir Khan, who was also a left-arm Chinaman.
Yeah, he is there. So, So in fact, he was one guy. He was one guy I was thinking, why is he not playing international? Because he is a different. His bowls fast Chinaman. If you have seen him in BBL.
So there are 7 to 8 Afghanistanis right now, top contracted players who are playing international T20 leagues, and they are rubbing shoulders against all those great players. So that's what I'm saying is that. Yes, and so their fear to perform and the inconsistencies in playing against international games is not there anymore. If you take an Ireland for that matter, even Bangladesh for that matter, or Sri Lanka for that matter, they do not have that much of an international exposure. They're playing against the likes of Zimbabwe's and Ireland's. So when they come to play against an India or Pakistan, they falter. Not with Afghanistan, with all these guys coming up and playing against all the top ranked players, not so teams. So that has made a big difference into the Afghanistan think tank also.
Correct. Divankur, a quick question: What can you expect on the Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka match? It's actually a quarterfinal match.
Quarterfinal in a way.
It's a quarterfinal in a way. What is your
Sri Lanka
on Shanaka and Shakib? What will be their think tank?
I think Sri Lanka will have to win that match, and they will be coming out victors in at all glance basis for that matter, and they will win the match. And historically, you've seen all those they've been very bitter enemies, so to say, in the last couple of 4 to 5 years. Yes, all those wagon dance and everything. So there's a bit of histrionics which will come into play, and there will be a lot of fan shouting and everything. They are equally represented both sides. I think it will be played in Sharjah only, if I'm not wrong. But because Group B matches are being played, Group A matches are being played, all the matches will be played there. If not Sharjah, wherever it is, they'll be 50% represented by both the sides. And I, for the sake of cricket, and I, for the sake of good balanced top four, would want Sri Lanka to win.
Santang, moving to tomorrow's match on India versus Hong Kong. What's your squad? Any changes that you're looking? What's your opinion?
I will actually keep the same squad. Okay, I know I was disappointed with Rahul, and I was disappointed with why Pant was not picked and why Avesh is playing. But I think it's a small tournament. I'll not tinker a lot with the squad, and I think it's a good match for the first three to go out and get some good batting practice. Runs are runs, but they'll at least have some confidence. Somewhere I feel that Kohli's luck has started changing. He was extremely unlucky in many occasions in this last 2.5, 3 years. He got a catch dropped. He edged something for six, several inside edges, not hitting the wicket. I feel the luck is changing, and he showed glimpses of, getting back to those old way of stroking the ball. Rohit needs to spend some time. Rahul needs to spend some time. They're already quality batters, right? It's just something, that it's not working right now. The phase is such, but they'll, come up, whenever it is, they'll come back to the form. So I think it's important for these three players to spend some time in the middle, get some good 60, 70, 80, whatever, maybe 100 as well, and then win really well, and then move to Super 4 with a real strong mindset as well.
Great. So that's it, guys. To wrap up today's episode of yet another cricket podcast with an Afghan win, and they're the first team to qualify for the Super Fours. We didn't expect that to happen, but then they have sprung a big surprise, and we catch everyone again on yet another episode tomorrow after the match of India versus Hong Kong. And until then, watch our videos. Please like and then hit the subscribe button and give your valid feedbacks. Thank you. Bye bye.
Good night, everyone. Take care.